Okay, we got ourselves a series, which I always expected. Am not particularly surprised by. That being said, how we got to this point, certainly interesting. And this game is going to give us a lot to dig into. Good, bad, good, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to get to all of it tonight, I'm sure. So final score, 125, 114 in Philly. Let me start here because I think it's the most appropriate place to start after the season, after the Knicks have gotten a lot of love the last several days for being just a very special group of guys, very special team. There is absolutely nothing, and I think actually Clyde said this towards the end of the broadcast. There's absolutely nothing for any Knick player, any Knick coach, or any Knick fan to hang their head about tonight. I thought that was a really I went on my halftime Zoom for the Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers, and I said I thought you could argue it was their best played half of the season, and I meant that, and maybe sounded a little bit like hyperbole. I did not think that they could have done anything better defensively. I didn't think they could have. I thought the shot selection was excellent. And honestly, sitting here now after the game's over, I'm not. Look, people will always find things to criticize because that's just the nature of fandom. I don't know what you could criticize about them. Can't criticize their effort. I don't think you can criticize their game plan. I'm sure we're gonna get people who are like, well, why didn't they start doubling Embiid? Okay, you can't double Joel Embiid on top of the three or above the 3-point arc. It's like it's death. You will get. I'll save my thoughts on Embiid, but like I thought their game plan was great. Their effort was great for the most part. Their execution was really really good. And we're going to talk about Jalen Brunson. I'll save that for a bit, but the most important thing from a Knicks fan perspective, 1,000%. Not even close. I don't even know what else would be in contention for this, but Jalen Brunson looked like Jalen Brunson tonight and had himself a game. Wasn't perfect. Couple late turnovers there, but I mean, what do you have? 38, 39 points, 13 assists. He was Jalen Brunson. He was the Jalen Brunson that is going to finish, whatever it is, 4th or 5th in MVP this year. But this is a game that in every way was about the guy who was going to win his second straight MVP until he got hurt early in January. And it's about him for some reasons that if you're an NBA fan, I mean, I know Knicks fans are not feeling this way tonight, but if you're an NBA fan, you just you're in awe because, you could count the amount of guys on two hands and a foot, maybe. Maybe you go on to the second foot, if that. I don't think you really need to. In NBA history, who can single-handedly take apart a team like Joel Embiid did, in particular in the third quarter, when that was just one of the great offensive displays of basketball that you'll ever see in any game, playoffs or otherwise. And that's why, again, like MVP was going to win another MVP, right up there with Nikola Jokic in terms of they're 1 and 1A in some order in terms of the most unguardable players in the league today. And I think there's a gap between the two of them and whoever you want to put third, probably Luka. But that's just because of the size. And Embiid is unguardable when he is 100% because of the inside out game, but it's more like the intermediate game. He's not 100%. So why was he unguardable tonight? He's unguardable tonight because he shot the ball like fucking Steph Curry. And when Embiid is doing that, there is no guarding him. There is no guarding the Sixers, especially when Tyrese Maxey's out there, which he was. And Tyrese Maxey played off at Joel Embiid beautifully. You can't, if their shooters are going to hit shots, which a couple of their other guys hit shots too in that insane third quarter when they finished 9-12 from three, like, you just can't guard them. Like, you're going to send a double when Joel Embiid's above the 3-point arc. Good luck with that. It's just you tip your cap. The reason that tonight is going to stick in the craw of every Knicks fan is the guy that did that, who, again, was on pace to win a second MVP and one of the most unstoppable scorers ever, should not have been in the game. And this is where it gets a little complicated because, on one hand, there is no universe where if we're judging the thing by how it's supposed to be judged, which is correct call, not correct call, by the letter of the law in the NBA, if you are on the floor, if you are on the ground, on the court, and and someone jumps and you try to literally pull them out of the air, that is like I'll put it this way. The league changed the way they officiate three-pointers now to make putting your foot in landing area, someone's landing area, a flagrant foul, purely because when you disrupt somebody's ability to land safely, that is, I think, more than anything else that goes on in a basketball game, the thing that is the biggest risk of injury. The only way that you could increase the chances that you're going to injure someone other than sticking your foot under their feet when they land on a shot is to quite literally pull them out from the air. And the fact that it was a guy who just returned a few weeks ago from, and we'll talk about Mitch because Mitch now, his status looms incredibly large for the rest of the series. The fact that it was a guy who came back from surgery less than a month ago is like, it's insult to injury. So, but by any even generous reading of what is a flagrant 2, what should get someone ejected from the game, he should have been gone. When you add it to the other stuff, like Joel Embiid kneeing Isaiah Hartenstein, what looked like in the balls. I don't know where he exactly need him, but he need him somewhere. When you look at that, when you look at and there were a couple other plays that I'm not even forgetting because they pale in comparison, but we're still very bad. There's no universe where he should have been in the game. So what's complicated about this? Well, this is where, no one's going to want to hear this, but the Knicks won a game in Madison Square Garden on whatever it was, Monday night, that, again, if we are just following the letter of the law, playing by the rules, all of that stuff, should they have won that game? Technically, no. A foul was committed on Tyrese Maxey. Like we saw it. Jalen Brunson grabbed his jersey. That's the biggest one. I don't think Nurse ever called the timeout. I know the 2-minute report disputes that. It said Hart fouled Maxey once it was inbounded. I don't know about that. That's a kind of bang bang play. And this is where it gets into the gray area because, and this is for anybody yelling and screaming, Macri, those two things are not the same. Here's why you're right. Those are all instances of bang bang plays in the last 20 minutes of a game when throughout NBA history, historically, those are situations where the refs are going to be like, you know what, we're going to let the players decide this one. And if the Sixers couldn't figure out a way to get the goddamn ball inbounds and safely secure it to the point that they could just, hold on to it and get fouled and then they go up by 4 and that's the game. Well, you could argue that they deserve to lose the game. Again, by the letter of the law, did the referees mess up in that game? Yes, they did. Does it color how much I feel like I am justified in getting on here and ranting and raving and screaming about Joel Embiid being in the game and not being ejected? A little bit. Can reasonable minds dispute that? Absolutely. Can anyone dispute the fact that, unlike in the last 30 seconds of the game 2, the fact that the refs had a chance to look at this and make the correct call and they still made the incorrect call? They undercalled the foul. No one can dispute that what they did was far worse than anything that happened in the last 30 seconds of game 2. And that's why the two things are not on equal footing. Now, if we want to go in an additional step further, the calls that weren't made at the end of game 2, yes, I know the Sixers still had 2 opportunities to win, the Maxey layup attempt and the Embiid 3 at the end to tie the game, but that was at the very end. after Joel Embiid did not get ejected from this game, there was still a whole lot of game left for the Knicks to come up and come up with a big performance and steal the game regardless. And for a while, it looked like they were going to do that because, again, they played exquisitely. Big performances up and down the roster. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. I haven't mentioned Josh Hart's name once. That's a terrible job by me. He's the player of the game. For as great as Jalen Brunson was, Josh Hart was even better. And other guys, OG Anunoby got himself really in the mix, which was big. Like, they almost did it anyway. And it took that level of performance from Joel Embiid to prevent the Knicks from going up 3-0 in that series. Was there more the Knicks could have done? No, I don't think there was more the Knicks could have done. Is it absolutely frustrating that it happened by a guy who shouldn't have been in the game? I hope that's not something that we have to live with for an offseason if it helps determine the outcome of this series. Which, by the way, I apologize to anybody who thought the series was over. Like, the series was never over, even after game 2. And it's not over now. God knows. But, there was a lot of game left to play, and the Sixers did what they had to do on the court. They got a big assist from the refs. They got a massive assist from the refs. But it enabled them to have the chance to do what they needed to do to win the game, and they did what they needed to do to win the game. It shouldn't sit well with any Knicks fan. Like, truly, it should not sit well with any Knicks fan. Every Knicks fan should be annoyed. I'm annoyed. I know I'm not showing it right now because I'm trying to just, stay composed. Everyone should be annoyed. It's the story of the game. And it won't get as much attention as it should in the national media, and I get that. That's fine. But it's the story of the game. As much as Embiid doing what he did in the game, scoring 50, taking over in the third quarter, as much as that's the story of the game, the fact that he was allowed to stay in the game is the story of the game. The only other thing that I want to say in regards to stuff that is not about the play on the court is this. Look, in terms of how Embiid gets officiated, Hartenstein picked up 2 quick fouls. Mitch picked up 2 quick fouls. Hartenstein came back in the first half, picked up another quick foul. Hartenstein came in the game late in the game, picked up 2 quick fouls. I'm not personally going to waste energy yelling and screaming about the way that Embiid in particular is officiated. And here's why. Hartenstein on the 5th foul was literally just standing there. He was just standing there. But because Joel Embiid is so big and he is so difficult to officiate, it's like, what if Shaq shot threes? That's as difficult as Shaq was to officiate. Joel Embiid's even harder because in terms of you need to give the shooter room and all of that sort of thing. Hartenstein did nothing. He did nothing. And that's why all he could do was laugh. And he looks over at the Knicks bench, and the Knicks bench thought about challenging, and the Knicks bench decided against it. And do you know why they decided against it? Because they knew they'd lose the challenge. Because that is how Embiid has always been officiated. That's how he is always going to be officiated. I'm not, again, my personal choice, you can make a different choice. I'm not going to waste energy being apoplectic about it because this just is what it is. This is the rules, and it makes him impossible to guard. Part of the reason, again, he's one of the 15 to 20 most unguardable players in the history of the league when he's going good. The fact of how he's officiated and how he gets these calls, and he's skilled enough to get the calls, give him credit. But the fact that he gets these calls and hits the free throws, obviously, that's a massive part of it. It's a massive part of it. But it is a part that it's you either accept it or you don't. I've accepted it. Here's why I am annoyed. If you're going to call the game like that, and you're going to call those fouls committed against Joel Embiid, and this is what Tom Thibodeau always says, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't speak to this effect after the game. You have to call it evenly. And before Embiid got on his crazy roll and the Sixers got on their crazy roll, hitting everything from deep in the third quarter, there was what felt like a handful of calls because the Knicks came out, I thought, in the third, and I really thought they were okay, let's steal this series. I thought they had what it took to do it. And there were some borderline egregious non-calls. Steve Popper tweeted out that Brunson, the three-pointer that looked like an air ball just because Brunson was bad, like threw up a bad shot, just hit on the hand. DiVincenzo was fouled on a three. That wasn't called. Like, that is not equitable. And if you want to sit here and you want to tell me, well, leaving Joel in the game was a makeup for what happened at the end of the game too. So, like, I don't think the two things are equal. But even if you want to argue that, well, how far are we going to go? How far are we going to go to ensure that this is a long series? Because the disparity between calls between the Sixers and the Knicks in particular in the beginning of that third quarter was extra. And I really thought that had that part of the game been called fairly, the Knicks aren't going into the fourth quarter down by 13. Maybe they're going into the fourth quarter down 6 or 7 or 8 or something. And then all of a sudden, when OG Anunoby hits back-to-back threes in the fourth quarter, it maybe doesn't cut the lead to 8. Maybe it cuts the lead to 3 or 4. And then you have a chance to really do something in that game. So, again, moral of the story, can't ask any more from the Knicks. Could have asked a lot more from the referees. And you tip your cap to an all-time great player having an all-time great performance, whether he should have been in the game or not. Joel Embiid did something that, like, you could – there are entire postseasons that go by where you will not see a performance to that level. It was that good. He's that special. And, you know, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to say the last thing that I was going to say. And that's it. And that's all there is to it. I think that's all I have. There's a bunch of other stuff to talk about this game, but I want to save it for both the segments and people with the super chats. So yeah, let's get to it here.
Hi, John.
What's up?
Frustrating game.
I mean, it was frustrating when Embiid didn't get tossed.
Yes. Same.
The rest of the game was like, you know,
every single, and look, it took him not getting tossed, a 50-point performance, and a fourth quarter in which he made one field goal. He was at the line the entire quarter.
I know.
For his 19 points to get himself to 50. So he got the whistle. Embiid, I think, alone shot more free throws than the Knicks team. Yep. He had 21 free throws for him, 19 for the Sixers. And yet the margin I'm going to is an uncanny, and what I'm trying to look up on StatHead is has anybody ever shot 9 of 12 from 3 as a team in a quarter, which is what the Sixers did in the third.
I mean
the Knicks won every quarter except that third, which featured probably their best 3-point shooting quarter, and they only won by 11. So maybe they go 6 of 12 from 3, and we're talking about a close game down the stretch.
Yeah, like, to be clear, I'm not burying the Knicks in this series. Like, it took an all-time great performance from an all-time great player to win this game. And the one other small not clarification, but small caveat that I do want to add, Jalen Brunson had his best game of the series. It was not an A+ Jalen Brunson game. I mean, actually, Benji gave him A-, which I think is the appropriate grade. Because, there were a couple of shots maybe shouldn't take, the turnovers and stuff. Like, Jalen Brunson can play better. And for as much as everybody else played well, the only guy that really had himself a game was Josh Hart. If you want to give me OG Anunoby too, and actually, if you want to give me Isaiah Hartenstein too. So 4 guys, but, like, here's the thing. They didn't get the lights-out shooting performance from DiVincenzo. They didn't get the lights-out shooting performance from McBride. They didn't get the lights-out shooting performance from Bogdanovich. And, when you factor in the Hartenstein going off, those are all 2s. Josh Hart hit some 3s, and I think OG ended up with 3 or 4. But, like, they have a bigger offensive performance in them. And I do think, for as much as I want to give Embiid a lot of credit, they could defend better. Like, there is a level of ferocity and tenacity that we see the Knicks come out with at times. The problem in this game was, I think, that the way the first half was officiated, like, clearly, because I forget which assistant coach did the interview at halftime. The assistant coach said, like, we got to stop fouling. So that was the point of emphasis in the second half. It's like defend without fouling. And if that is how you approach defense, like you can't defend with ferocity and tenacity and the things that were going to really allow the Knicks to prevent the Sixers from doing what they did in the third quarter. So it's like anywhere you turn, it's like, again, series a long way from over. I mean that on both sides. And now all eyes turn to game 4.
I agree. So we're going to jump into some segments now and break this down into to pay the bills a little bit. First, we're going to start with Autograph. Go with the player of the game presented by Autograph. Download the Autograph app and use code KFS and get rewarded for your Knicks fandom. Special segment on the show tomorrow that we're going to drop, which will drop sometime Friday afternoon, featuring our Connect over at Autograph. He's a big Knicks fan, a friend of the show. His name is Zach. Go to your app store or use the code that is in the description of this episode and download the Autograph app and use code KFS and get rewarded for your Knicks fandom. Your player of the game, John Macri. You said it's Josh Hart. You sticking with that?
Yeah, maybe a little controversial. I mean, Brunson scored 39. Hart scored 20. I thought Hart was everywhere. He was everywhere. I thought every one of his threes were so big. Like, for the Knicks offense to sustain at the level it's sustaining, and like after this game, we'll update the stats soon. Like the Knicks are either going to have the best offense in the playoffs after this game, or they might be slightly below the Sixers if the Sixers maybe pulled a bit ahead of them. Like the reason the Knicks offense has been as good as it has been in the playoffs is because of Josh Hart, and that came through again tonight. I thought his passing was really on point, but he made a lot of really nice passes. Like those, everything. Like you can't ask more, and you can't play better than Josh Hart played. Jalen Brunson is asked to do more, and he obviously came through with the more that he was asked to do. Like without him, the Knicks really aren't in this game. But by a hair, I'll give it to Hart.
So the obvious other candidate is Jalen Brunson, who finished tonight with 39 points on 27 shots, also 13 assists. Just generated a ton of offense for the Knicks. Thought he trusted the pass a ton. I agree with you about the A-. Some really bad fourth quarter turnovers when they were trying to come back. A few shots here and there we noted on the playback where he wasn't doing what was being successful, which was bringing Embiid into the action, getting to the rim, driving the nail. An overall good sign for Knicks fans that were worried about Jalen Brunson getting going, that he seemed to have started to figure some things out against the Sixers defense. It's giving him trouble in the first 2 games.
The thing I'll say about that, I thought the Knicks did a pretty good job. Not a perfect job, not maybe even a great job. Pretty good job of going at, like, driving to the rim when Embiid got in foul trouble. The thing is, like, here's the other part about Joel Embiid. For as much as he's a petulant child and cannot control his emotions, he is a very smart basketball player. And I don't think that there was any scenario where Embiid was going to allow himself to, like, foul out of this game. But, yeah, no, I co-sign everything you said on Brunson.
Yep, agreed. And be prepared for that energy to be excessive in the super chats about the Embiid petulant child and maybe some places he can go. Yeah,
that's why I kind of saved my.
Yep, I'm just be prepared.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
We're gonna have some fun. A brand new sponsor and a brand new segment. Well, yes. To the perfect matchup presented by the new dating app. It may not even be new, called Foreplay. So Foreplay is a new dating app where you grab your single friends and download Foreplay in the App Store today. That's FOURPLAY. Don't get any ideas. We're not trying to do foreplay here on the Knicks Film School postgame.
Speak for yourself.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm seeing you this weekend. Maybe we'll update people and see what happens.
I do foreplay with you.
I'm actually, John. You need a wingman.
That kind of foreplay. Yes, the foreplay we're here to talk about for this segment. Yes,
exactly. Absolutely. So the way Foreplay works is it's not a single dating app. You enter with a buddy, and if John and I were still single and looking to double date. Single look to mingle. I would be his wingman, he would be mine, and we would use the app to link up with 2 other people that we're interested in, and the other potential couples on the app that we could potentially have a nice little double date with. We could watch the Knicks. I'm sure Jalen and Josh, Josh Hart looks like the perfect wingman. Just I'll be a clown. I'll entertain whoever. Jalen,
well, hold
while
on.
you work,
I pick first, don't I?
I don't know. I'm just saying he looks. We're not doing the matchup. I'm just saying in general if they were using the app.
All right,
John. Okay. Shout out to Foreplay for sponsoring this segment.
My matchup is going to be one that will loom large over the rest of the series, and that is Joel Embiid versus Precious Achiuwa, which one is going to give me a chance to give the little bit of breaking news, which will shock nobody who watched Embiid blink with one eye 4 times when he was on the free throw line during, I think, the fourth quarter. And so per Woj, Embiid has a mild case of Bell's palsy, which he was withholding, and because he didn't want to be a distraction or whatever. I can't imagine it's going to change anything moving forward because he's had it since the playing game. And great quote from Tibbs. One more thing, since Embiid is in my matchup here. Tom Thibodeau on how Jalen Brunson was officiated tonight. I'll send my clips in like I do every game, and then they'll say marginal contact, and then we'll have marginal contact on Embiid, and he'll be at the line 21 times. Amen, Tom. Amen. But yeah, as it pertains to Precious, look, he did an admirable job there in the first half. Embiid got him, obviously, in the second half there. I'll be very curious to see what the Knicks do in terms of adjusting from a game plan standpoint, specifically for when Precious is in the game. Against Embiid, I don't know that there's much you really can do. But I do wonder, maybe might they be a little bit more aggressive? Because that's the one thing Precious gives you, a little bit more speed. So that is my matchup of the game. Perfect matchup of the game. Presented by Foreplay.
Presented by Foreplay. So speaking of the way Foreplay works, in which both of us need to pick a perfect matchup that stands out to us, my perfect matchup is going to be, it's a weird one, but I'm going to go campaign against Deuce McBride. Because the Sixers were getting absolutely nothing from their bench, and they went back to a 9-man rotation tonight and went with Campaign as their other guard off the bench. Buddy Hield only played 4 minutes. He hit 3 threes and I believe had 11 points in this game. That 8 points in the second quarter I thought loomed large for the Sixers, because we're looking at a 10-point Knicks lead if they get the same output as they did in game 2 from their bench.
I said the same thing at halftime about Payne. Those points were so big.
During that stretch in the third quarter, when everybody on the Sixers was hitting threes, again, 9 for 12 from 3. One of those shots, a step back 3 with a hand in his face from Campaign. So if they've finally got a veteran coming off the bench that could give them some minutes, I do think it was telling. Buddy Hield only played 4 minutes, as I said. Yep. He may be kind of done for this series, potentially, especially the way that he's played throughout this series. Money well spent, Daryl Morey.
Speaking of money, I'd love to know what because I'm sure the Pacers offered him something. I mean, this is way far afoul of what we're here to talk about tonight. I'd love to know the numbers on the contract that Buddy Hield turned down in the preseason before it was kind of acknowledged that him and the Pacers would eventually part ways. Who's your other person besides Campaign?
It's Deuce, because it's not a 1-to-1 matchup specifically, but it's the guard off the bench that Deuce has just provided such a spark that was creating such a margin as like a 7th, 8th man off the bench, or in this case, a 6th man. Yeah. And now the Campaign has entered into the chat. Now it's up to the Knicks to, I guess, have an answer for Campaign. Now, look, maybe he's not even going to have this impact the way he did in game 4, but it's something to pay attention to. If they now have, I mean, we saw no Melton tonight after all was playing and being clean to play. Maybe the Buddy Hield minutes will now turn into Melton minutes just to see what you can get out of him. But yeah, Campaign, that's a spark off the bench that you didn't have to account for the first 2 games. Although he did play in game 1, he was a very quick hook in the first game. So them turning to Campaign in game 3 and getting a pretty significant contribution is something that's worth paying attention to. Those are perfect matchups.
Good job. Good job by you. And thank you to Foreplay for sponsoring the show. One thing on McBride, it's unfair to me to ask, or anybody to ask any more of him, because the dude has come in through 3 games and given them everything they could possibly want. if there's another level that he could reach defensively on Maxey, I need him to reach it.
Yeah.
Because, it happened in game 2 and it happened again tonight. There were a couple possessions where it was a little, and again, Maxey's he might be the toughest one-on-one cover in the league. And from a guard standpoint, specifically when it comes to preventing the drive, because he's so fast. And when he's shooting it, which he's been shooting in this series, it makes it even tougher. So, if there's another level that Deuce could reach, would love to see it.
Well, speaking of foreplay, you want to talk about a perfect 2-man game that makes it even more difficult for Maxey to guard Maxey.
Yeah,
when his pick and roll partner that's getting him downhill on the drives is Joel Embiid, and he's hitting 5 threes in a game, it's even more makes them more impossible to guard.
It's absurd. It's as a 1-2 combo. I mean, we've talked about this. It's either them or it's Jokic and Murray. Like, there's no better 1-2 combo in the sport. And that's what the Knicks have to overcome. Thankfully, they still have a 2-game 2-1 lead. But it's like, winning 2 more games is not going to be easy. That's all.
They're going to have to earn it. I agree. They're going to have to earn it. This team has earned a lot this year. I look at some of the margins of, again, they won every quarter except the third, which featured a historically great shooting performance. Embiid could have done this, and if they didn't go 9 of 12 from 3, then we're looking at a close game down the stretch. So we'll see what happens in game 4 when Embiid doesn't have 2 days off. They're not bitching for 2 days to the league office.
No, they have 2 days off.
It's a matinee.
Oh,
like they had an extra day. Like,
that's fair.
Because it was Tuesday, it was Monday, Thursday. Now they play Sunday at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope it makes a difference.
I do too. Believe me, I do too. Okay. Let's get to the super chats. We'll be back with 2 more segments later on.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay. We start off with Perry Eckhart, who thank you for the contribution, Perry. I don't know if there was a comment there. Maybe we'll get to it later. Jeremy Chase starts us off with the first comment. Embiid is oh my God, I can't even do this. Is it gonna get worse than this?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just.
Yes, it is going to get worse than this.
I mean, I guess I got to read everything. Sorry to my favorite cab driver out there. Their words, not mine. Embiid is a scumbag. The greatest playoff performance that never should have been. He should have been booted in the first quarter, then injured Mitch. Fuck him 1,000%. Yeah, the thing, and this is the quote from, or I don't know, I forget if I read this quote from Tibbs, but he was asked about the flagrant one or the flagrants on Embiid or what, like the calls on Embiid, whatever. And Tibbs' response was the one that was called or the one that wasn't called. And that's why it's like, for as much as I don't know what's worse, the fact that the foul on Mitch wasn't called the flagrant 2, or the fact that the knee to the midsection of Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't called a flagrant foul at all. So it's the 2. It's the 2 calls. It's the 2 calls, and then when you throw in the fact that, you breathe on Embiid and he goes to the foul line versus anybody else, and that's not the case. It's a lot. It's a lot. Thanks, Jeremy. Hush Zoo. I'm glad Hart can unintentionally kick someone and get ejected. I thought of that fucking play. Let me finish reading the comment and see. Now you got me cursing again. And but Embiid doing one of the most dangerous fouls is nothing. Mitch is out, but he stays. I mean, the one thing with Mitch is that wasn't the moment that Mitch got hurt. Although, which that reminds me of the play that Mitch got hurt. You could argue should have been, or got more significantly hurt. I think you could argue should have been an offensive foul on Embiid, and I don't think that was called. It's just, yeah, it's tough. But I thought of the Hart play, which was ridiculous in the moment. But again, it just goes to show, like, the game, like they're this sort of situation, Sixers down 2-0. They're just gonna call it. They called it differently. They called it differently. Maybe I don't. Did how game 2 ended factor in to how this game was called? I there's a part of me that almost hopes so. There's a part of me that hopes so, because if it wasn't, then like what are we doing here? Thanks, Hush. Hush with another one. Been told the refs been rigging it for us for the last 3 days. Look, the perception of the league's referees is not great, and I maybe they just look at it and they're like, well, nobody's happy, so we must be doing an okay job. I don't know. Thanks, Hush. Varun Jane, what's going on, Varun? Thank you for the generous contribution, my man. I just want to say Embiid deserves no love, no chip, nothing. He could go to hell for injuring Mitch. Hold on. I want to get Andrew back up here for a second. Am I misremembering? Did Mitch start hobbling after where Embiid tried to pull him down? I thought he started hobbling more significantly on the later play.
So what we noticed was that Mitch looked a little slow. Now, we know he's dealing with an injury as is, so he looked a little slow on the first couple possessions after that play. Then he had that dunk, and we chucked it up on the playback. It's like, you know what? It's Mitch. He's already naturally, hopefully he gets better. Then the play you're referring to, where he got hurt even further, was the one that.
What did Embiid fall? I forget what happened. Did Embiid fall on him, or how did he further injure the ankle?
I'd have to look at it. I
forget what happened.
Yeah, but I forget the exact one. I actually thought it was just Mitch took an awkward step. I thought he just was. I got to be honest with you. I don't know a specific play other than Embiid kicking him in the nuts. Like, I actually just thought he got worse and worse from the moment that play that Embiid happened, which is why I think if people are accusing that of being the play that got him hurt, I think it's fair.
Yeah, no, you know what? Maybe. Because I mean, it's like every fire starts with a spark. Maybe that was the thing that started Mitch going downhill, and he doesn't get to the point where he can just step awkwardly and it sends him out of a game. I mean, if Mitch is, I would at this point, I'd be very surprised if Mitch played the next game. There's a part of me that wonders if he's gonna play the rest of the series. It's really pretty criminal.
Yep.
And Hush says losing Mitch could be the series changer. I don't know if I'd go that far. Will it impact the series if they lose him? Yes. Josh Hart on Joel Embiid's flagrant foul on Mitchell Robinson. We're just happy Mitch didn't get a serious injury on that. We're lucky he didn't get seriously hurt. Well, I guess that's encouraging. I'm getting more frustrated as this is going on. Not with just with the Embiid thing. I really tried to stay composed. It's not working out so well for me.
Anything I can do?
No.
An injector of fun?
No. I don't think that tonight's about injecting fun. I think tonight is about just being angry.
Okay. I'll let you guys be angry. So for the record, I'm pretty angry too. That was bull garbage. Sorry, you're welcome, John's cab driver. It was nonsense, John. Like every single. I'm warning you now. I've scrolled through the super chats.
No, it's fine.
Like this is the parade of effing beads. Okay, that's what the theme is tonight.
That's fine, as it should be. If it was anything else, it'd be wrong.
There you go.
Okay. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? How are you? Thank you for the generous contribution. Complaining to the refs like LeBron combined with the dirty fouls of Draymond Green. That Embiid really is special. Sure, he could shoot, but have you seen him bitch? Hashtag fire Tibbs. Hashtag deport Embiid. My Lord. He is an incredibly unlikable player, I guess, at the end of the day. I was always so focused on how, because as anybody listening to the show or has listened to the show for a while knows very well, I've always been a fan of Embiid's game, just from a perspective of like you get that guy on your team, and it's just like, again, he's a wrecking machine, but he's also a wrecking machine in the wrong ways, all of the wrong ways, and it's not pleasant basketball to watch him play because of how he gets so many of his points from the free throw line. And then the dirty stuff is just, I feel like it's often been there. It's inexcusable. That's the other part of it. Like, the Knicks have gotten all this credit this year for being this super physical team, and that, like, you'll feel the Knicks the next morning after you play them. No one's ever accused the Knicks of being dirty. Like, that's not how it tips coaches. That's not how these players carry themselves. Like, they don't want to. They don't need to. It's just not fair. Thanks, Juno. Brando, proud of this team. Embiid is the new Trae Young. Trae Young is like a shitheel, but he's like an honorable shitheel. Like, he doesn't do any of this nonsense. Like, this is like low level, really just low level scum of the earth type of stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Brando. Dale, if Philly is 5 of 11 instead of 8 of 11 from 3 in the third, we win. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair way to look at it. Like, they were right there. Like, I really cannot emphasize enough, and I hope everybody at least takes a chance to, for as angry as we all are, appreciate the fact that the Knicks played one hell of a ball game. I mean, you want to talk about every time it looked like the Sixers had given them a knockout punch in the third quarter, someone comes up with a big three. I feel like most of them were Josh Hart, but it wasn't just Josh Hart. It was like Jalen Brunson came up with a lot of big like they really withstanded, like, a lot of teams 9 of 12. Sorry, not 8 of 11. 9 of 12. Yeah, but if they were 5 of 12, right, or 6 of 12, the Knicks might have won that game. A lot of teams wouldn't have stayed in it. Most teams. Thanks, Dale. Varun.
No, read it. I just want to know how we're going to respond to these tonight because they exist.
Varun with another one. Karma better take out Embiid before any other team. I don't know how to read that.
As in, like, Karma should take out Embiid before another team does. As in, maybe something's coming his way. And there's a lot of,
Knicks won't do that.
Oh, no, the Knicks might not. Maybe Karma might.
Well, look, we'll see. I don't know. It feels messed up that, like, Embiid's going to suit up and play in game 4, and Mitchell Robinson's probably not.
So can I ask you that? Draymond Green got suspended for a game. Now, that was like a series of technicals. And there is a question alluding to that.
The league is going to suspend Joel Embiid retroactively?
If a response comes out that, like, that's clearly, like, he tried to, like, by definition, and the refs, because they wanted to go home safely.
That would be one of the ballsiest things I've ever seen the league do, and I don't think they have it in them.
Okay. But it's not absurd to think that, right?
No.
Okay. I think so, too. I don't think they're going to do it, but I'm putting it in the ether that they might be like, all right, the game you got to play, like, you should have been active for game 4 instead. Like, you got to play game 3, and you got to have a performance. Just putting it out there that
I just, like, it would just be great if he was officiated the same way as Jalen Brunson. How about that? How about that? Instead of suspending for the game, how about we just all play on equal footing?
I'd sign up for that.
Mark Fabros, what's going on? Mark, how are you? Clyde said it best. No need to hang our heads. Yeah, completely. Our guys played hard. That said, fuck Embiid. The leg grab was the most Bush League thing I've seen all season from someone not named Draymond. Yeah, and Draymond had to go to, like, counseling and whatever the heck else he had to do for several weeks when he was away from his team. But we're just going to brush this off. Or I'm not saying we, but, like, the league and, like, the national media, we're just going to brush this off because it's just going to focus on the fact that the guy got 50 with Bell's palsy, which, again, is what he's doing is miraculous. It's, like, insane. Like, he's, like, it was dominant. Like, I'm not saying don't praise great players for doing great stuff, but just like coming off of game 2, I thought there was, from the national media, a fair bit of attention paid to the fact that the Knicks benefited from the calls there at the end of the game. I would at the very least like that same equitable energy for the fact that, like, yeah, Embiid went for 50. Yeah, he's hurt. Yeah, he did it anyway, and he's dominant and awesome, the whole thing. But he almost got himself kicked out of the game, and by any right, probably should have got himself kicked out of the game. Like, make sure you bring that too. Thank you, Mark. Jesse M. What's going on, Jesse? Thanks for the contribution. Key moment for me was New York only trimming the lead to 4 in the 5 minutes without Joel to start the fourth. Yeah, I mean, give him credit. Maxey was in the game. I think Maxey had a drive there. I forget exactly what it was. I mean, Brunson was in for that stretch. Knicks came up empty on a couple of possessions. Like, yeah, that's fine, but like the immense amount of pressure it puts on your team to be like, all right, Joel Embiid is going to be out for the next 4 or 5 minutes. We have to outscore the Sixers by, 12 during this time. Like, yeah, in this game, did they need to do that in this game to have a chance to win down the stretch? Absolutely. I'm not going to kill them for like, okay, they weren't perfect. It happens. Not bothered by it.
This is from Jake Fisher of Yahoo. Mitchell Robinson walked out of Wells Fargo Center tonight wearing a walking boot on his left foot.
All right. So what do we think that means?
I mean,
Mitch is tough as nails.
I wouldn't rule him out for the series. I'd be shocked if he plays in a matinee on Sunday.
Yeah, and look, you don't want to risk re-injury. That's it. Whatever happens. If it has to be Precious, it has to be Precious.
You also don't want him to play and be ineffective, like,
yeah, no.
That's more my thought. If he can play and be effective, then I think he's back game 4. But I think they'll give it again. They'll go for shoot around. They'll go for practice, and then we might get an answer, and potentially he's back for game 5.
And look, maybe having someone in there with a little bit more speed, a little bit more quickness. It could look, Embiid's defense on Embiid, or excuse me, Mitch's defense on Embiid changed game 1. So like full strength or mostly full strength Mitch is still the best option, but if he's going to be less than full strength, then the Precious does give you some stuff. Thank you, Jesse. Haitian Ferg, what's going on? Thank you for the very, very, very generous contribution, man. Losing Mitch hurt big in the second half. Yeah. Barely any offensive rebounds. Thank you for bringing that up, Haitian. I want to actually take a second if I can. Because that has been a huge factor for the Knicks. Obviously, it was a big, big factor in game 1. Game 2, it wasn't as big of a factor, except when it really counted, when it was a massive factor. Knicks tonight, 11 offensive rebounds, Philly 8. 11 offensive rebounds, that's low for New York. And I don't know, I think part of it was because the Knicks shot pretty well in this game. In particular from 3, the Knicks ended up shooting pretty well. So like you get a lot of offensive rebounds on missed threes. I didn't think it was like showed like a lack of effort. But at the same time, I don't know that the Sixers did anything necessarily good to prevent the offensive rebounds, but just the fact that the Knicks did not get more offensive rebounds, I did think hurt them. Anyway, Tibbs forced to play Precious, but he didn't really help much. Philly needed an ungodly third quarter to win. Embiid should have been thrown out. Draymond Green would have been ejected. Yeah, a lot of players would have been ejected, but they weren't ejecting him in that spot very clearly. Very clearly, they were not going to eject Joel Embiid from this game. They decided they weren't going to eject Joel Embiid from the game. And that's on the refs. That's on the refs. Thank you, really, again, Haitian. Appreciate the generosity. Sam L., what's going on, Sam? I know it's petty, but I want to see Embiid's knee go completely sideways and get wheeled off the court before this ends. Sometimes we get what we deserve. Look, I will never sit here and wish injury upon anyone. For as much as I want two-ish injury. I'm not going to do it. That's not. It's not who the Knicks are, and they don't need to do that to win this series. I don't. I thought Embiid's comments after Game 2 about we're still the better team, we're going to win this series. I thought they were very interesting, and it really did make me think a lot about what does it mean to be the better team? What does that mean? And I think the simplest answer is if you play 100 times, who's going to win more games? Everything that is entailed in that, which players are likely to get hurt, which players are likely to get tired, whatever. I don't know who the better team is in this series. I really don't. I do know that the Knicks are the tougher team. I know that they are the more mentally strong team. I know that they are the deeper team. I believe that they are the better coached team. But I also know that Embiid and Maxey, when they're going right, and they've been going right a hell of a lot more often than they have been going right through the first 3 games, they are without question 2 of the 3 best players. Without question, 2 of the 3 best players. So, and historically that accounts for a lot in the NBA. Historically. Will it account for a lot over the rest of the series? We'll see. Thank you, Sam. Alfie Greco, tough loss. Love this team. Hashtag Hoel Embiid. That was good. I appreciated that. Hoel Embiid it is. Sure, why not? Kanyon Pepper. What's going on, Kanyon? Hot third quarter from Philly is what won the game, and they only won by 11. Clyde was not wrong. Yeah, no, Clyde wasn't wrong at all. You're not going to get that again. I don't think. I would be shocked if you got that again. But, here's the thing, right? The Sixers won because they had an incredibly hot shooting third quarter, right? Great teams are great because they could beat you, not in one way, not in 2 ways. They could beat you in a lot of ways. And I think the reason why the Sixers team, look, I'll come out and say it. From what we've seen in the NBA playoffs thus far, I do not think it is an overstatement to say that the Knicks and Sixers are playing like 2 of the 5 best teams in the playoffs. And there is absolutely a world where we look back at this series, regardless of who wins, and we're like, oh, that was a matchup between 2 of the 3 or 4 or 5 best teams in the league. I think that's on the table. And it's just, game 3 would have decided the series if the Knicks won it. They lost it. If the Knicks win game 4, massive advantage. With that, so that's why Zach Lowe has said this on his pod. Game 4 to him is the best game in a series. Or is the underrated best game in a series, right? Because if you're one team is always going to be up 2-1, and regardless of home court or away, the whole thing, you either get a series after game 4 or one team goes up 3-1, and we know the history of teams going up 3-1 in the NBA playoffs. So on to game 4, the Knicks are going to come out, give it everything they have. You just hope that they have a representative shooting game. They shot pretty well tonight. You hope they could shoot pretty well again. That's it. That's all you could ask for. And then you let the chips fall where they may. Zayad Rahim. What's going on, Zayad? Precious or Jericho needs to come in and lay some wood on Embiid. Code red. I love that we're bringing in the Few Good Men quote here. It's not what they're going to do. I don't want them to do that. That's not how I want to win. It's not how the Knicks want to win. It's not how the Knicks think they need to win. The Knicks believe they're. I forget about my doubts. Who the fuck am I? Sorry again. That's 2. The Knicks believe they're a better team, and they're. You know what? They're probably right. They don't need to do that. They don't need to do that. Thank you, Zayed. Chet, Nick, what's going on, Chet? Macro, you are wrong. I don't know.
What do you think this is in reference to? What did you say?
Probably referencing back to game 2 and saying that there is a little bit of you can't your anger over tonight has to at least be taken in the context of the Knicks kind of sort of stole a game that they shouldn't have had in game 2.
Nope, that's not it. What else do you think you said wrong?
Oh, I don't know. That's the only thing I think of.
Could it be? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I have it here. Embiid is not playing basketball.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
So you're wrong, John.
I am wrong. No, that wasn't a basketball play. And I think the Knicks said different versions of that. Like DiVincenzo said it was a dirty play. Hart said that's not a basketball play. It's. And when you combine it with the petulant child stuff, where it's just very that's the
the tantrums he was throwing, man. My gosh,
you know the part
literally stomping his feet like you're like one of your daughters.
So come on. So that's the part that it's how are the Knicks going to get to you? No, they're not going to come and take out your feet. They're not going to come and send the 15th guy or 13th guy on the bench and try to injure you. You know what they are going to do? They're going to outwork you and they're going to out-hustle you to the point that it makes you mentally break. And the most frustrating part of it is it worked. They broke Embiid mentally, briefly, but they broke him. And he did the thing that when you get mentally broken, you can't do. And everything about that should point to, all right, if you do the thing, if we've pushed you to the point where you're going to do the thing, you should pay the price for doing the thing. And not once, but twice, with the no flagrant on the Hartenstein play and the flagrant one on the Mitch play. Twice he got away with doing the thing you can't do. And that's what should make everybody angry.
I agree. A couple more, then we'll go to a segment.
Max Cyril, what's going on, Max? New member of my playoff most hated list. Jordan Miller, Morning, Embiid. Fuck F him, dirty. I'll start doing Fs. F him, dirty player, period. Get Van Gundy on that guy's leg. Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because it was the 90s and everybody did stuff, but I always had such respect for Alonzo Mourning. I'm like Jordan. I mean, Jordan ripped your heart out, but I don't know. Jordan never resorted to anything like that. Even Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller you hated because of his attitude and how much he seemed to relish doing the stuff that he did, and he was just such a pest. But again, Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan, Alonzo Mourning, those guys never, to Chetnik's point, they played basketball. Reggie Miller played it with a flair that got under your skin, but he played basketball. Michael Jordan played basketball. Alonzo Mourning played basketball. This stuff from Joel Embiid is not basketball. It's just not. That's the difference. Hayden Freed, what's going on, Hayden? Precedent is key. 2016 finals, Draymond flagrant 1 review and upgraded the next game suspension. Embiid is just a big, fat Trae Young with better hair. Again, I don't get the Trae. I get the Trae Young comps, but Trae Young is looks like a creature that would live under a rock in the desert, and has ripped at least one postseason, at least ripped the Knicks' hearts out because he was awesome in that series. But and yes, he foul hunts, right? He foul hunts. He's not a dirty player. I mean, he weighs 145 pounds soaking wet. So, I don't know how much of a dirty player he could be, but he's not a dirty player. Embiid is dirty. Man, I'll tell you one thing. I would have moved heaven and earth to get this guy on the Knicks for most of the last however many years. Not anymore. Not anymore. I don't know. Who wants to root for someone like that? No. I mean, the Sixers fans are dirtbags, so they have no issue with it.
Exactly. F Philly. F the Phillies. F the Eagles. F the Flyers. And here's where I'm going to tonight, John. F Will Smith. I'm Team Chris Rock
Philly.
now.
Because he's from Philly.
Yeah. F Rocky. The only good one is the one with Michael B. Jordan. I was rooting for the Russian.
All right. You want to get to our segments?
Let's do it. So, bit of a topical one. We'll start here. We'll go with the playoff scoreboard presented by T-Squared Social, where we will be having our watch party on Sunday for Game 4. Wonder how many Embiid chance there will be at said watch party on Sunday. Join us for the watch party on Sunday at T-Squared Social. We'll be there from 12:30. It's walking distance, a couple blocks away from Grand Central, 7 East 42nd Street. And if you go to T-Squared Social and tell them that Knicks Film School sent you, you get a free draft beer. Let me get the thing on the screen. Get a free draft beer. Tell them KFS sent you. Visit tsquaredsocial.com to learn more about club memberships, trivia nights, sports leagues, and much more. Okay.
I got it. So let's get out of the way the score that's in the midst of happening, which is the Lakers Nuggets. Lakers got off to I think an 8-0 lead. They I'll check and see what their biggest lead of this game was. AD's having a big game. LeBron's having a big game, but Aaron Gordon with a big game for Denver. LA was up by 12 in this game, and but Denver again has pulled within 4, so good job by them. And then talk about frauds.
Jeez.
Yeah. The Cleveland Cavaliers went into Orlando and took a big, wet, steaming, just unpleasant poo on the court in Magic Land and lost 121-83. Great job by them. Donovan Mitchell 6 of 16. Darius Garland 2 for 10. Thanks for participating. Evan Mobley, big 10 points from Mobley. But the big stories from this game: Jalen Suggs lights out from the field, 9 of 11, and then Paolo Banchero putting and I think Paolo was from. I was trying to pay a little bit of attention to this game in the first half. I thought Paolo was instrumental in them getting off to the right foot. Boy, oh boy, would I love to see Orlando win Game 4. That would make that series a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Yep. I'll intentionally losing to play this team, and you lose by 40 on the road. You know, it's good to see Jalen Suggs be okay after an injury scare in Game 2. It looks like he is on the road to recovery, which is presented by Unified Healing. Go to unifiedhealing.com and learn more and find a center near you. We will be making a trip to a Unified Center, so pay attention to all the Knicks Film School socials, where we will be telling you all about the healing process that you can find over at Unified. It's kind of obvious what the road to recovery looks like tonight. Mitchell Robinson, if you're just tuning in, left tonight's game in a walking boot after left tonight's game with a sprained ankle, and then left the Wells Fargo Center in a walking boot. Unfortunately for the Knicks, the guy that injured him was left in the game and scored 50 points. A lot of quotes coming out of the Knicks locker room. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein.
Said not a basketball play.
Not a basketball play. It was a dirty play. It was reckless, and it may cost the Knicks Mitchell Robinson. We'll see what happens going into Game 4 on Sunday. We should say DeAnthony Melton was cleared to play, but then did not play. Yeah.
Bogey was holding his wrist at one point during this game again.
Yep.
But he's a gamer. And what else was I going to say?
I guess we also should mention that AJ Wojnarowski about an hour ago tweeted out that Joel Embiid has been diagnosed with Bell's palsy that he's been dealing with for about a month, which might explain some of the eye twitching that has been going on with him.
I want to give I don't think we have yet. I want to give a tip of the cap to Mitch for staying in the game. when after it was very clear that he should not have been in the game. And he tried to gut it out. I mean, he absolutely just tried to gut it out. And yeah, that's it.
Tip of the cap. I agree.
On that note, I have the quotes here from the pool report from crew chief Zach Zarba on why officials deemed the Embiid foul on Robinson was a flagrant 1 and not flagrant 2. The crew was unanimous, along with the replay center officials caucus, that the foul was unnecessary but did not rise to the level of a flagrant 2. The unnecessary contact rose to the level of flagrant 1, but we were unanimous that it did not rise to the level of excessive contact, unnecessary or excessive, which would have been a flagrant 2 ejection. So they give absolutely no additional. They gave no additional context. Like, why did it not rise to the level? You know, and I'll be curious. I don't know who the pool reporter. Let me see if the pool. Keith.
Oh God.
I would love to know. Look, Keith Pompey is a good reporter. I would love to know if there was an attempt at a follow-up question, such as what caused you specifically to deem it not excessive, unnecessary, and unnecessary.
It's why I wonder if there is a review of said play that's like, oh no, that was pretty excessive and unnecessary.
I mean,
I'd be shocked.
That's not going to get him
shocked.
It's not going to get him suspended.
Flagrant 2 is an ejection from a game. If he's not ejected, he has cost a game.
I don't think that's
happened in the league this season. Draymond Green last year in the playoffs got a flagrant 1, and then they ejected him the next game. Oh no, he got ejected for the game and then suspended for another one is what happened. But that's why I think it was Hayden that was like, there's precedent here.
We'll see. And then I just retweeted some video of Mitch leaving with the walking boot. I mean, he's a limp. He's a limp. Okay, let's keep going.
We have one more segment, by the way.
Oh yeah, we do. No, we did the out-of-town scoreboard, and we did.
It's a surprise segment. We've nominated this for 2023 and nominated this for 2024. We have worst comment of the playoffs.
I
need you to take a deep breath.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, maybe a swig of water. There you go. I'll have the image of me holding a bottle of whiskey. That is hilarious when you know the context of how often I drink whiskey, which is never. Okay, as you read said comment.
OG team, go watch Miami's playing game. Embiid and Maxey totally taken out of the game. Don't understand how you could be this so-called defensive master if you don't at least implement zone defense.
Look at Claudio with the whiskey. Look at Claudio with the whiskey.
I see. Look, the Knicks defense. You want to tell me that the Knicks, who haven't played a lick of zone defense all year, now's the time to start doing that? Part of the reason why Tibbs teams have such a high floor is because, unlike some other teams out there who are lost in the forest without a compass or a flashlight, and they're just looking for anything that, might stick against the wall when they throw it against it, Tibbs teams are going to be better prepared to win a basketball game than any other team in the league because they hammer certain concepts more than anyone. Like the notion that, and by the way, and here's the funniest part about this, right? This is the funniest part about this, and why it gets the worst comment of the playoffs award. How do you beat zone?
Shooting. The Sixers really shot the lights out tonight.
There was nothing. Repeat that. Nothing that his own defense would have done in that third quarter to make a difference. So OG team, I suggest politely, and with all due respect, that you get your head out of your ass and you learn how to interpret the sport for which you allegedly are watching that has prompted you to make this comment before you have another contender for the dumbest fucking comment of the postseason, which as of now, you are the sole title holder of. Thank you so much for your generosity. We appreciate you here at Knicks Film School.
Thank you for the contribution. I also agree. That zone worked because the Sixers were shooting 5 of whatever in the first half of the play-in. That was not. There's nothing about tonight that was like, oh, the Knicks should have went zone against Joel Embiid.
And as an aside, the Sixers in that game were not the Sixers because Joel Embiid was not Embiid. The version of Joel Embiid that we saw is the reason why coming into this series, everybody was like, oh, the Knicks got this because they're facing, what is Joel Embiid? 60% of himself, 65% of it? Because that's what we saw in the playing game. The guy that's out there right now looks nothing like the guy that was out there then. And even on top of all of that, the Sixers played that play-in game like a group of 7th graders who had never seen a basketball court together before in their lives. And that's not because of the zone. That's because the Sixers just decided to kick the ball around. Like, I cannot count the number of ways that comment is just the most ridiculous asinine thing I've ever heard.
We awarded it the worst comment of the year. Of the playoffs. Although it probably supersedes the year, too.
That might be the dumbest comment in the history of me doing this, and I've been doing this for 5 years.
Yes. Same.
More, actually. Anyway.
Trying to find a fun one, because the mood has... But they're all like, Embiid should go to hell, Embiid should catch something. Okay. Next up, we'll just do here.
Rowan Sr. What's going on, Rowan? I thought they changed the rules to prevent this kind of foul baiting. Worst 50 I've ever watched. He got hot shooting, but it wasn't dominant. That's fair. But I guess the problem, well, no, that's fair. I get what you're saying. It wasn't dominant in the way that you would expect a big man to be dominant. But if if Steph Curry scores 50 and a bunch of them come from 3, is that any less dominant than Embiid doing it? It's just like how we don't. But the difference is that Embiid got to the line 21 times. I thought they changed the rules too, but I think as we've kind of come to realize, they've specifically changed the rules to impact guards a lot more. And even more specifically than that, I think they just wanted to get the Trae Young, James Harden stuff out of the sport. And that has had a lot of unfortunate repercussions where it comes to guys like Jalen Brunson. But Embiid has been left unscathed. Thanks, Ron.
All right, we have a contender for funniest comment of the year.
I need it. Alex, other Alex. What's going on, other Alex? By the way, shout out to the other Alex I met at Penn 6 the other night. Difference between Nurse, Spo, and Tibbs is those guys operate below the belt and complain about calls, try to injure opposing comments. Tibbs is too nice.
That's Tom Thibodeau's problem. Not the zone.
Yes.
Not some stubbornness. Not how much he pays attention to basketball. He's too nice, John.
I think.
In fact, I heard that the wife of the owner in Minnesota specifically fired him because he's too nice.
Because he's too nice.
In fact, I think the reason he's able to get all of his players to play more minutes is because they feel bad about how nice he is, that they're like, you know what, we're going to keep playing for him. He's too nice. Other Alex, I'm assuming this is a jest. This is funny.
No, I mean, look, I would not blame anybody for being like, Tibbs needs to rant and rave and yell and scream more. That's fair. I personally think Nurse comes off like a clown. And I think he comes off like a clown. And as far as Tibbs, like what you heard from Tibbs tonight was as close to I don't give an F attitude as you're ever going to see from him, because I mean, the way he says it, but like, look, I think he has a good relationship with officials for the most part. It didn't matter tonight.
Respectfully, every time I see Tom Thibodeau, he's yelling. He's not like him not yelling enough is not part of the problem. The problem is that Joel Embiid, you just said it, he gets officiated differently. And tonight he got officiated. He took 18 shots tonight. He made one field goal in the fourth quarter where he scored 19 points. Like, that's really all you need to say. They bitched and complained, whined and complained after game 2. And like we even on multiple platforms, they probably got an unfair break at the end of game 2. And they got a home whistle tonight.
Different
scenario. I'm not even talking about the flagrant foul. I'm just talking about the whistle. That they got a home cooking whistle tonight. Shouldn't have been in the game from the first quarter on, but guy took more free throws than the whole Knicks team tonight. That plays as physical as any other team in the league. Now let's see if they get that again in game 4, with now the emphasis that he should not have played in the majority of game 3, and a matinee where a guy with already health issues now has to get a quick turnaround.
Yeah,
we'll see.
DJ MKC, what's going on, DJ? You know what's exciting? A one-sided free throw contest by a dirty foul-baiting flopper who purposefully hurt his best defender. Embiid was out of control all game and was rewarded for it. That's, I think you've put it as about as well and as succinctly as anyone that I've heard. So, yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add. I have other than praise for a job well done with that comment. No, it's not exciting basketball. It's not sort of basketball that anyone wants to watch. I guess unless you're a Sixer fan, which, congratulations, you got the win. Rowan Sr. With another one. All-time great performance. I believe that's why he hasn't advanced far in the playoffs. He depends on those foul calls for big games, but he gets them. That's the thing, right? Is he gets them. And if you look at historically in the playoffs, I mean, I went through his playoff game log the other day. Like, he gets to the line in the playoffs. It's not like his free throws go down a significant amount. It's not like Harden, right? Like, Harden, part of the reason that he's been such a underwhelming player in the playoffs is a lot of times the foul shooting goes down. I think it's fair to question how high he ranks up the dominance charts when you by asking what would he be if he did not get officiated the way he does. I think that's very fair. I think when you look at his combination of skill and touch, especially now that the passing has gotten so much better this year, especially, and the shooting is where it is this year, shooting obviously where it was tonight, and you factor all that in, it's like the foul stuff like puts it over the top more than makes him what he is. But I think it's a fair quibble from you for sure. And I'm not going to begrudge you at all on that. Thanks, Rowan. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? A lot of emotions. Focusing on the positives. There we go. Sixers came out with a lot of dirty stuff, but the Knicks didn't blink in the first and look like the winners. Hashtag Knicks in 5. I mean, this is where I'm at. That just gives me another opportunity to lavish praise on the team. Like, the way they came out in the first and withstood the Sixers' initial burst of energy. I thought the way they pushed to close the second quarter was incredibly impressive. And again, I really think they deserve a lot of credit for hanging in it in the third. There was a lot of good teams, really good teams would have came out of that quarter being down by 25, and this team is just and then to continue to try, like, there's just no quit, like, to continue to be like, all right, we're still in the game, let's keep going, like, all the way to the end, even though they so how many other teams just would have been like, it's not our night, Knicks didn't do it. Thanks, Anthony. Jay Wright, what's going on, Jay? I'm assuming not the former coach of our beloved Villanova Knicks. Please read this entire message. Fuck Joel Embiid. He should be suspended. I have read the entire message. Not going to disagree. Good job by you. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? I'm sure tonight was a tough one for you, my man. Precious can be fine if necessary. Yeah, I agree with that. He has the lateral movement to stay with Embiid at the perimeter. Tonight reminds me of last year's game 2 at Cleveland. Unsustainable variance can't be expected by the Sixers every night. Couple differences. One, the Sixers team is a lot better than that Cavs team. Two, the Knicks, I think this Knicks team is better than that Knicks team. I'll just say that. Like, I remember that game too. The Knicks played like crap. Like tonight, the Knicks didn't play like crap. And I guess the other part of it is like, I don't know if we fully realized it yet by the end of game 2, but we would certainly realize it soon after that, that like, oh, we just have this team's number. Like from a matchup perspective, from an X's and O's perspective, from a mentality perspective, like we just got this team. I don't know that the Knicks have that sort of ace in the hole against these Sixers, other than the fact that they are, I do believe, more mentally tough, and all the things I said earlier, more mentally tough, deeper, tougher. But like the notion that like we got them, right? Like we got them. Like if it wasn't for a crazy shooting performance tonight, we'd be up 3-0. Sitting here right now, I don't feel that way. I could be wrong. Obviously, look, if the Knicks come out and win game 4 and win game 5 and the series is over in 5, like then I'll be wrong. I picked the Knicks in 7 to start the series. I have not, and I haven't wavered. Like even after game 2, there was, if you asked me, gun to my head, what are you picking? I think if anything, maybe I would have shaded Knicks in 6, but although I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win the next 2 games by a million points and we all go home. We'll see. Thanks, Tom. Here's another one from other Alex. If Embiid isn't suspended, he won't be. I'm just preparing you. Wish the Knicks would take it into their own hands. You know what Spo would 100% be having his players do in this instance. Well, I don't know about that. It's funny. Like, I'm thinking of something Brunson said the other day, where he was asked about Embiid's comments after the game that we're still the better team and we will still win the series. And somebody asked Brunson if it gives him any extra motivation. And Brunson was like, if you need more motivation this time of year, you're probably in the wrong business, which I appreciated the comment very much because, again, speaks to the character of this team. If Mitch is out, and I'm assuming he's out, you know what? Even regardless, whether he's out or whether he's not out, I would be shocked, not surprised, shocked if the Knicks did not come out in game 4 playing like a team on fire. And we'll see what happens then. Thanks, other Alex. D-Zilla, what's going on, D-Zilla? If we're going to foul Embiid, we need to put him on his bitch ass every time, knock him down. Only hard fouls, poke him in the effing eye, hashtag Nixon 5. So here's the problem. They're not trying to foul him. Like, how many of the fouls are intentional fouls? I honestly can't think of any. Like they're trying to defend without fouling. They're just getting called for fouls. And I know that's incredibly frustrating, but like, I would much rather them, I know it's not working right now because the dude went to the free throw line 21 times. I would rather them continue to try to defend without fouling. For as much as it has not worked, I would like them to continue to try to make the effort. Thank you, D-Zilla. Ryan Shepard, what's going on, Ryan? Imagine if Mitch did the same thing to Embiid. He would have been executed in front of the Liberty Bell. That's the funniest comment of the night. So much for no playoff history with Philly. Oh yeah, no, they're Philly. I mean, this rivalry. I don't think the rivalry existed before this playoff series. Sure as hell exists now. Yeah, I mean, Embiid would have been tossed, or excuse me, Mitch would have been tossed because he's not Joel Embiid. Very simple. Dom with another one. Thank you, Dom, for the generosity. And Embiid can stay his ass in Philly. F him. His scrub teammates pray that he'll average 50 a game for their sorry assessment. Go take care of business on Sunday, New York. Good night. I love that, Dom. I like that feistiness from you here. Really, truly like the feistiness. Yeah, I don't. F him is right. I like our team. It's funny. so many times I've gotten comments from people over the course of this season, even last season, like, what are the odds we just keep this team together? And every time I respond the same way. If there's an opportunity to get a superstar of a certain caliber, they will not blink. And tonight was the first night I genuinely watched this game, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to trade for that guy. I don't want to trade for him, even if the opportunity is there. Now, does it mean I might not want to trade for a different superstar? I guess maybe that's different, but I'm so proud of this team, and I'm so proud of the way they go about their business and how they just never give up and how they always try to play the game the right way while also always being the toughest team and the strongest team. And just, you really just can't ask for anything more than this team gives you. And it's unfortunate that on a night that they gave everything they had and then some, we have to sit here and we have to talk about this asshole. Bernard Richardson, what's going on, Bernard? Keep Embiid far away from our basketball team. I hear you. On or off of it. Guy loves challenging and losing to karma his whole career. They needed every one of the 50. Hashtag marginal and incidental printed t-shirts. Yeah, man. I'll say this. There's another thing I'll tell you. Coming into this series, I was like, obviously I wanted to win. Obviously I was rooting for a long playoff run for all the obvious reasons. But I was like, you know what? If you lose to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and Sixers play to their capabilities, and Embiid is like kind of Embiid health wise, like, you know, it would be tough. But I would ultimately at the end of the day, I would probably find it within myself to tip my cap and move on. I want to beat this goddamn team. And I want to beat him. And I want to send Joel Embiid home for the summer in the first round because he doesn't deserve to move on. You know? And I want to do it even more so because he is actually, like, I know he's not 100%. He's healthy enough that's Joel. You saw it tonight. That's Joel Embiid. That is Joel Embiid. Got to win 2 more games. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Officiating was bad, but not the reason they lost. That was the Philly threes and Embiid. Don't want Joel Embiid anywhere near the Knicks. Dude is a loser. He is a loser. I agree. He's a loser. He's a sore loser at that. Thanks, Danny. Alex, what's going on, Alex? The original Alex. Embiid tried to give Mitch and Hart Bell's palsy. Yeah, I don't know if it's a transmittable disease in that sense, but yes, he did.
Ball's palsy.
Oh, Ball's palsy. That's correct. Ball's, not Bell's palsy. Ball's palsy.
Yes. There you go. Benji had a good joke. I think you might know the reference. He quote tweeted the Woj tweet and said maybe he thought Mitch's leg was the ball. Do you know that the reference to?
Roger Clemens.
Yeah, first try. Fargo Tufo, this is actually, because it's your chat, it's appropriate. He did not get this reference, but I was full Captain America because I remember when, speaking of dirty players, Roger Clemens threw a bat at Mike Piazza and claimed I was just a ball. And all he knows how to do with a baseball is throw it at people. So, got 5 more.
I think I was at that game.
You were at game 2 of the World Series?
Oh, wait, no, never mind. What game?
Well, okay, the Piazza getting beamed game was the night game of a day-night doubleheader in which game 1 was at Shea
That's
Stadium.
That's what I was at. I was at,
so you were at game 2
at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
What?
Very frustrating night for your boy.
Yeah. I have a pennant from that night, actually, because I made it for, because it was day-night, different stadiums. Okay. Will Oliver, don't want the dirty foul merchant ever on our team. I'm loving this kind of energy.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that tonight.
Good. Great.
Yeah. Turned a corner tonight. Yeah.
Esquite. It's quiet. who's our Oakley Kurt Thomas? Dirty plays on our guys, and we got DiVincenzo only stepping up an OG earlier in the season versus the Nets. I don't like it. It's a different sport.
Yeah.
Different sport. You don't, and that's, again, that's not who they are. That's not who they are. They like, are you telling me that's how, like, you want someone coming off their bench to try to take out Embiid's legs from under him?
I also think you're not giving DiVincenzo enough credit as quiet. Like, that's a man with 7 inches height, and he was staring up at him. That's a dirty play. And Embiid was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And he didn't move. Like, props to DiVincenzo there. Like, for a guard to get in the MVP that's over 7 feet's face like that, I thought that was
DiVincenzo's not backing out from anybody.
Agreed. All right, so we got 5 more. We're gonna. I gotta perfectly orchestrate this. We'll start with Bernard Richardson.
Bernard, Nurse said Embiid was just playing tough. LOL. Yeah, Nurse's words are worth, not worth the paper they're printed on.
Well done.
Charmaine, what's going on, Charmaine? The Embiid antics have been going on for 3 games. To come out playing like a filthy scumbag. Scumbag after crying for fouls is the most pathetic display ever. Yes. He doesn't have a choice because that's the only way that they're going to win this series. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Sable, what's going on, Mark? I've been dying for a superstar forever. But I couldn't agree more, John. Let's run it back after we beat the Sixers. P.S. I was at the back game. F. Clemens, GMAC.
Yeah, that was game 2 of the World Series. The doubleheader you're talking about was just like
something happened in that game though.
So I was 12 years old. I'll never forget it. Game 1 was the first ever day-night doubleheader in 2 stadiums. Game 1, Yankees play the Mets at Shea, and Doc Gooden, who just had his number retired by the Mets, pitched for the Yankees and got the win. Game 2, Piazza comes up in the first inning, and after owning, he had in his last 3 games against Clemens had hit a home run, and Clemens in the first at bat threw it at his head. Piazza falls backwards, has a concussion, misses the All-Star game. A rivalry begins. And then we get the incident in the World Series where on a foul ball that broke Piazza's bat, the bat flukily bounced its way out to Clemens, who picked it and then threw it in Piazza's direction toward the Mets dugout. Joel Embiid would be proud to say he knows Roger Clemens. Thank you, Mark Sable. Good to see you and good to hear from you.
Good to see you, Mark. Hope all is well.
Okay, I'm trying to end with a grand finale, but we've got a bit of a war going on in the super chats. I'm going to keep this going. Keep going.
SMB. Sixers are soft as tissue paper. You could see it in how they play and how they answer questions post-game. No accountability for anything. I mean, did you expect better? I didn't. They think playing hard means injuring guys. It's embarrassing. I mean, that's something for them and their fans to deal with. It's not really my concern. As far as them being as soft as tissue paper, I don't know. I mean, look, the fact that Embiid is out there playing, I can't believe it. I don't want to give him any sort of compliment, but like, he is toughing out a tough situation by playing. So I know how he's going about his business when he's out there, but like, I don't really know how to reconcile that. I don't think Maxi's soft. Maxi's the one respectable guy on their team.
Yeah.
And then Lowry's the other guy. Now Lowry didn't do much tonight. He didn't need to. But like, yeah, it's just annoying because like they got just enough. Like they got the freaking campaign points. And Kelly Oubre Jr., man, I didn't even realize he went 6 of 8 from the field, 15 points. Big performance by Oubre. Ultimately, I think the longer the series goes on, I do think the more it favors the Knicks, even though we were up 2-0, because I think their toughness will shine through. Got to win 2 more games. Adam Heitner. What's going on, Adam? Gotta say, I was fuming tonight, but this post game has been therapeutic to say the least. It's always been Knicks in 5. They will be ready for Sunday. You know what? I feel I'll tell you this. I feel better. It's just so weird. Game 1, I was like, I still felt good about Knicks in 7. Game 2, I still feel good about Knicks in 7. After tonight, the more I think about it, I know I just kind of contradicted this with what I said a minute ago. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to come out with a special level of effort. I don't want to diminish the effort they're already coming out with, but like, I think we may see a special Knicks team come out of the locker room on Sunday. It's just you never know what's going to be up with the shooting. Like, are they going to have an off night or are they going to be on? And that's something you can't control. You can control your effort and your how locked in you are and how poised you are and all those sorts of things and how much energy you play with. I'm excited for Game 4. I'll say that. Thank you, Adam. Alex, Embiid's lucky Randall wasn't on the court tonight. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. So we got 4 left, 2 patrons, an interesting one, and then an appropriate way to end the night. Great. So these next 2 are contradictory. So let's start here.
Busy.
They contradict each other.
OG team, sorry, you'll learn if the take didn't come from or seen by someone respected, it is deemed stupid. I don't know how to take that.
Well, how about Haitian Ferg?
Hashtag fire OG team. I thought I was done tonight. This is $5 well spent. Yeah, let's play zone and help them go 12 for 12 instead of 9 for 12. Look, Busy, I give you credit when credit's due. I'm always up for contradictory opinions, and I'd never prejudge the take. If the take is bad, I don't care who the take comes from. Like, I disagree with more of your takes than anyone else's. Talking to Busy, and yet when you come through with something that it's like, you know what, Busy made a decent point, I'm going to say I could very easily be like, oh, it's Busy, so whatever it's going to be is stupid. No, I don't do that. And I won't do that. But like the notion like that tonight was the night to play zone. Come on.
Speaking of,
here we go. OG team. Oh, I'm sorry for sharing an idea. What absolutely neutralized Embiid and Maxey. My bad. I apologize. Let's continue to give Embiid and Maxey 30 points every game. Yay.
You got to read my bad the way it's written. My bad. Like he really emphasized that.
Look, again, I'm never going to blame anybody for being a fan. Like, it doesn't take an emotion. Like, there's no EQ test. There's no IQ test for fandom. If there was, then there'd be a lot less fucking fans out there. So I get you're frustrated, OG team. I totally hear you. You defend great players with your team. There are ways to do it. You don't necessarily like the zone is one option. And also the other part of it is, and again, this is like your take was so bad that I didn't even get to this the first time. You need certain personnel to play zone. And I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Bam Adebayo. He's a player on the Miami Heat. You may have heard of him. I don't know. He was one of the top 3 finishers for a Defense Player of the Year this year. He is a like walking like matchup nightmare in terms of, because he allows you to play anything. You can play zone, you could play man, you could switch, you could do anything because you have that player. And the fact that the Sixers the Miami Heat also so often put every other player on the court, like, who's their point guard? Oh, wait, that's right. They don't have one because everybody is 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". Like, they put all these big wings out there. Highsmith, obviously Butler when he's healthy, Jaime Jaquez. Like, these are the sorts of things that allow you to play zone successfully. The notion that the Knicks are going to do that with their personnel, it just doesn't make any sense. They're a team that is built on a foundation of elite rim protection, and they have, to their credit, 48 minutes of elite rim protection. When you have that, and when you spent the cap resources on that, you don't divert from that because you're saying, oh, well, we're playing this team, so I know what we're going to do. Let's do the thing that the other team did that worked against them. That's playing scared. That's benching Isaac Okoro after game 1. And if you want to go to a Knicks comp, it's starting Josh Hart over Quentin Grimes because it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're doing this, so we got to do this. No, You stay on the attack. You stay on the affirmative. You dictate the terms of play. As many intelligent comments have said tonight, if the Sixers go 6 of 12 instead of 9 of 12, it's a different game, you know? And then the last thing I'll say, yeah, Embiid's going off, or he went off tonight. Maxi's been doing what he's doing. The Knicks have largely held the fort here, and nobody else has gone off. And I think that is a testament to their game plan. Two guys are not going to beat you by themselves. Two guys did not beat them tonight. They got enough plays from other unlikely sources. Like, again, you're talking about an 11-point game. Campaign comes in the second quarter and scores how many points in how many minutes? Kelly Oubre Jr. goes 6 of 8. Like, these are the things that you tip your cap, to say nothing of the fact that the guy, Joel Embiid's a 34% three-point shooter, and he went 4 for 4 from 3 in the third quarter. It's just like, come on.
One more from OG team.
I can't wait. I am frustrated. I'm sorry. All right. I get it. I get it. But, like, we try to keep it a buck here. I understand the frustration. Keep it within the bounds of reason, at the very least.
I think the very definition of frustration is you go outside of reason. I think, to John's point, personnel matters. This reminds me a lot of arguments I get into with Jets fans about certain ways that the defense should be. Like, we should be running a 3-4 versus a 4-3. Like, the classic one was always back in 2002 when the Jets were playing this very relaxed zone Tampa 2, and like, that's all fine and dandy if you have John Lynch and Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber, not the personnel the Jets had. Should have been playing a 3-4. And like, that's just a micro example where personnel matters. If they have Bam Adebayo, yeah, they probably would, but they don't have that level of center, which Hartenstein's great, but as a rim protector. And it's just personnel matters.
We're losing the plot here. They do what they do as well as anyone, you know, and the reason they do what they do as well as anyone is because they focus on that exclusively. Is it perfect? No. Are you always gonna? Are there times where you wish you maybe had a pivot? Sure, but like, resources are limited. You only have a certain amount of practice time. Like, you cannot be an expert in everything at all times. Like, the Heat spend so much time working on that zone, you know, but they do so because they kind of don't have a choice, because like, they are limited in like other areas. That is the best way to use their personnel. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
I also just like, was the zone suddenly going to stop Embiid from getting calls tonight?
I mean, that's besides the point.
Yeah, like, that's not the reason the Knicks lost the game. It's because the Sixers got hot from 3 in the third, and Joel was allowed to take 14, 15 free throws in the fourth quarter. Okay. Okay, I shouldn't get frustrated because these are contributions and I'm thankful. Big B.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Big B. Embiid is a special kind of hoe. Oh, my God. Nurse as well. I like that.
That's Joel Embiid. Thank you, Big B. All right, this is an appropriate way to end the night. Shout out to one Robert Cross.
I was wondering. Oh, my goodness gracious. What did we should be giving him a birthday present here.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Cross, thank you. Thank you. Not only for this, but for, you know, being, you know, arguably Knicks Film School's #1 fan over the years, and certainly not our biggest contributor. You're right up there. A sincere thanks to all the KFS community for the well wishes. I am not a birthday guy, but I would appreciate a present this year. On Tuesday night in MSG, I ask every fan to make it uncomfortable every time that piece of shit touches the basketball. FMB. I am quite certain, Robert, that you do not need to ask MSG, the MSG faithful, to let Joel Embiid hear it when he is at the Garden for Game 5. But for anybody who was listening, who was going to that game, please heed Robert's wishes. That is what I will say. More importantly, happy 51st birthday, Robert. You're one of one. And appreciate your friendship. Appreciate knowing you all these years now. That's really it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Robert, and happy birthday. One more from Red Sarachek. We were so close to ending it with Robert as the last word, but thank you, Red Sarachek, for the contribution.
Thank you, Red. Sorry I'm late. Just got back from the game. The difference between us and them, JMAC, we have a 7th Avenue to shut down. Also, go in on Sunday. No? Well, Sunday is the game. I mean, that's where all the attention turns to now. I think they can. Not sure if I'm going to say they will.
You're not. That's not you.
No, it's not my style, but
they're going to show up on Sunday.
Let me say this. I was nervous going into game 1. I was nervous going into game 2. I was nervous going into tonight. I'm excited going into game 4.
There you go. Progress.
We'll see if it pays off. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming in on a tough night and really helping me get through this, because this was not an easy one. By no means was this an easy one. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, 5-star rating, a review, all that stuff is great. I will be back recording a pod tomorrow morning, which I'm very excited about. Someone I haven't talked to in a while that be good to get their takes on everything that's going on at the moment. So stay tuned for that. And then I will be on the post game on Sunday, hopefully after the Knicks win. We'll see. All right. Talk to you later. Peace out.